was a part of a compromise to make sure we had a national championship, to emphasize the importance of conference champions. And really the issue that was known from the beginning is the team ranked 12th, which I think last year was Alabama, if I remember, is the team that is disadvantaged, is removed from the playoff if somebody's 13th or beyond. And it's about half the years, this is not precise, where everybody's in the top 12, and half the years where you have somebody outside. That can work for a while, in my opinion. So if everybody's committed to high-level football and you have some years where they're in and out, I don't think if you have teams that are coming from, say, outside the top 25, which that scenario is possible, or if you have multiple teams outside the top 12, that it will be long-term sustainable or credible to replace teams in the top 12 of those outside. Understand part of the challenge is how do you compare teams and conferences in rigor of play and all of those strength of schedule issues I've discussed. But it goes back to a compromise position where you can bring people into the conversation. And that's the background and the why. I do think that the question to be answered long term is how frequently does that displacement occur, and how many teams might be outside the top 12 displacing teams inside the top 12. And the more that happens, I think the more questions about credibility will be raised.
Middle section, fifth row.
Flag football has grown exponentially as a sport at the high school level. I'm wondering, has the commissioner or has the conference had any discussion about flag football potentially at the college level?
I have. And we have, not in a way that's developed to the point that it's about to be added, because in the background is a settlement, an outflow of 22% of revenue to the players, additional scholarship costs as we move from the old equivalency model into roster limits. And now is not the moment where there's a lot of focus on adding sports. The focus is on supporting the opportunities in sports that currently exist. We'll continue to pay attention. I credit the NFL. They've done a nice job of using flag football to build interest in the game beyond those who would just play tackle, including with many women. That's a good thing for us all. And we'll not be inattentive, but right now our focus is on the immediate realities around implementation and supporting the sports that are in our inventory.
Left side, front row.
Travis Brown, KBTX. When you look at the CSC and those enforcement measures, is there anything from the conference level that can be done to encourage institutions when it comes to making those individual level decisions? Because it does seem like that's the weakest link of programs who might be in an enforcement situation operating for the good of the sport, not just for their institution.
One of the misunderstandings of needs and priorities is a lot of discussion about the relationship with the student athlete. I think the most needed element of college athletics is a clear agreement among institutions that participate in setting the rules, to follow those rules, to hold themselves to that standard first. So to your question, that would be the initial message. And then the second point is, if accountability has to be applied from the outside, accept that. That means changing state laws. I think it really means about the need to change attitudes. And yes, do we talk about that? Absolutely. Will we follow up if there are concerns? We do. Part of it's the message that I've shared right here today and earlier today, that we have to have agreement on what standards should apply, how institutions self-correct if someone steps outside those expectations, and if on an individual campus basis those expectations aren't fulfilled, how is accountability properly applied?
Right side, second row.
Hey, Greg. Alex Byington on 3. The House attorneys are fighting back a little bit about some of the language from the CSC as far as valid business purposes. There's been a lot of news about collectives kind of and deals being shut down or turned away. Just what are your thoughts on those regulations and collectives having that big of an issue? I mean, they're threatening lawsuits now just based on that verbiage in the statement.
The terms of the settlement have not been secret. I mean, those are approved, submitted to court and approved in full court, and I would point people back to those terms that were agreed upon. Certainly, we learned what Friday the plaintiffs had concerns, put those in writing. That kind of correspondence can happen directly without media attention. You know, someone chose to put it into the media, so be it. That doesn't mean that the position that was communicated needs to be modified.
And
Left side, second row.
Hey, Commissioner. Jacques Doucet, WAFB TV in Baton Rouge. I just wanted your thoughts on LSU baseball just winning another national title 2 in 3 years, and then the SEC's run in the national championship in Omaha, and how's that benefit the conference?
I'll take you through my June, which was I thought we had a great baseball season as a group. I thought a phenomenal baseball season. You look week to week and the number of quality teams we had. Then we had the reward for that great play with the number of teams selected, first round, the regional sites, and we didn't perform the way I would have expected. Some surprises there, but that's the nature of baseball, right? Ball bounces funny ways. Bat finds the ball at times, and the ball finds the glove at others. So you understand the nature of the game. And then when we moved into super regionals, there were some things I thought some teams would have gotten through perhaps. But you saw really good baseball throughout the year. And so I knew once we had teams in Omaha, we have experienced coaches who know how to manage through that experience, set their teams up in a really good way. So that's not direct. It's just, it was an interesting experience. And what that led me to is, man, we've been on this incredible run. Like, if you go run around Charles Schwab Field and you look at the plaques of the years that teams won national championship, you're into the late 80s before you see our teams listed, right? And you think about over the last 35 years how college baseball has changed. I give a lot of people a lot of credit. Skip obviously got out ahead. I remember I moved to Louisiana in 92 and it was in Baton Rouge at the old Alex Box in 93 at a regional with Northwestern State, just blown away by the number of people and the level of play. And those are the sorts of things that make us better. When you have this many teams compete with this depth, you have a program that's won as much at LSU. Everybody wants to attain that mountaintop. I think that makes us better. And then in Omaha, you just saw some great performances out of, each of our teams who were there. We had 2, right? And so the narrative was, well, they're not going to have the most. And lo and behold, somehow, even with 2, we still have the most of any conference out there. And then those 2 teams ended up in the same side of the bracket, unfortunately. But, I mean, great baseball between the 2 of them. I don't think that trend will change. And in fact, I think we'll have just as many, if not more teams poised to make that run through June next year. I also, you didn't ask me this, I wanted to keep double elimination in Hoover. I actually thought the baseball was really well played and really enjoyable. It's a little bit different, fans might not have teams play till Friday, but we had good attendance throughout the week. It allows our coaches to prepare in a little bit different way. But we didn't have those 18 to 15 games with the center fielder and right fielder, throwing